No? Oh, he's probably one of my favorites, but he's on Facebook all the time, sometimes on TikTok. He's got some good ones about parenting and just relationships in general. Yeah, my niece Rachel got married, so it was awesome actually. Oh, that sounds miserable. That's awesome. That's what I want to do. That's how I want to live once I turn 55.
Yeah, they're both 55, she's retiring this year, and so we're just gonna do it now. They've done like Costa Rica, they've done
Yeah.
they would like that.
I'm a huge Mexico fan. I'll take the city bus anywhere. I just love the environment.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start the regular City Commission meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Al, roll call.
Benson.
Here?
Brunig. Present. Maibaum. Present. Minor.
Here.
Schramm.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Villanueva.
Present.
Mayor Mosier.
Here.
City Manager Leon.
Here, over here.
You've moved
Red
down.
Rover.
City Attorney Denherter. Here.
All right, moving on, I would request a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 24th, it should be 22. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the City Commission minutes? Anybody in the public want to comment on the minutes? All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes of the last regular meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Anybody abstaining? All right, minutes approved. I will turn it over to City Manager Leon for the City Manager's report.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the Commission. A couple things to talk about as we're trying to provide exemplary experiences, services, and spaces that create opportunities for everyone to learn, engage, and thrive. Room set up. I think we'll leave this. I think we're good, but I think we'll leave this here through this next couple meetings through March, just to make sure we're not going back in the wrong direction. And then if everyone's comfortable, we'll get back together. It's a lot of technological rigmarole to have it change back, so I don't want to change back only to spread apart again. So we'll leave this for a bit and then check back and see how numbers are, but if numbers are still looking good, we'll squeeze back together if folks are comfortable with that. If you're not comfortable, let me know offline and we can talk about that. Citywide cleanup. I want to talk about citywide cleanup. The annual Yankton Citywide Cleanup is scheduled to begin on Saturday, March 19th through Saturday, April 16th, which means the snow and rain will come Saturday, March 19th through Saturday, April 16th. So if you're a City of Yankton resident and you're on a city collection route, you can dispose of eligible items free of charge at the transfer station time at a regular transfer station time hours. Curbside collection is back and it's scheduled to begin on April 4th. So we want to get this done, prior to the Easter holiday. Please, we're going to hammer this home. Do not put items on the curb before March 26th. So we don't want folks to do that. There's information on our website about what we take and what we don't take and why. So we'll be, putting that out, asking our media partners to help us with that. But we are planning that cleanup. So we only plan it when the weather's really crummy and it's tough for our crews, but we hope we have days like Bluebird days like today where we can get things picked up. Household hazardous waste, we also have scheduled for a spring event. Joint Powers will be working on talking about whether or not we're going to do a spring and a fall, but we are going to do a spring household hazardous waste. That's something that we don't pick up on citywide cleanup, and it's something we don't want you to just throw in your regular black garbage can. So that's scheduled for Saturday, April 23rd, and that's not curbside. As the public knows, that's something where you take your hazardous waste to the actual transfer station, and there's collection hours for that. So just as a note for everyone to start putting that on their calendar and on their radar. Information about the election. Many of you have heard that we have 6 candidates running for 3 open seats here with a 3-year term. That's Jerry Weber, Stacy Nichols, Mason Schramm, Amy Miner, Miles Warren, and Kurt Bernard. We have our election scheduled on the 12th of April, which is Tuesday. Deadline for voter registration is a question I got today. The deadline for voter registration is Monday, March 28th. So if people are not registered to vote, they have to be registered to vote. So if you're in doubt whether you're registered or not, you can go to voter information at sdos.gov or call the county auditor, and we'll be doing some election type reminders and things like that on our Facebook. So this isn't your only opportunity, but please remember that date. And then absentee voting will be available on Monday, March 28th through the 11th. So, if you are not able to be at the polls, or you think, you know folks that are Yankton residents, but they're still snowbirding or something, that is offered to them. That's something that we do offer at City Finance Office, or they will mail ballots as well. And then Election Day, the vote centers is the City Hall gym. Sorry, pickleballers, but there will be no pickleball on April 12th. And then the North Fire Station. So 2 polling places, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. So you're going to hear a lot about that, about the election. School board election going on at the same time. We do a joint election with them when they have an election. So that'll be going on at the same time. So look for more information. The media will help us with that as well. Just so the commission is aware, along with the Manitou announcement, there will be some grant applications that Yankton Thrive and Manitou are working on with the state of South Dakota, and they need a governmental entity as a sponsor. The deadlines are a lot sooner than we'd like them to be, but they'll be coming forward with various requests for us to sponsor, much like we do with CDGB grants, to their grant application. So look for that. That'll come forward in a future meeting, a near future meeting, but I'm not sure which one. And then I wanted to give you an update, since we did have a late start for school. That gave me a reminder to get an update to you on where we are with the signals for schools, the flashers that we have, that we currently manually change when school's late or what have you. We are working with a couple of different vendors right now to determine what's the best vendor to go with. Our intention is to get those ordered once we select the vendor and installed in the warm months, so that when we get to next winter, next fall, winter, and spring, we have those that we're able to change on a web-based or in software-based type program. So that is in the works. It is budgeted for this year. So you'll be seeing something coming forward on that in the near future. I believe that's the updates that I wanted to give you, Mayor and Commission, unless there's questions for me that I can answer.
All right, seeing no microphones coming on, we'll move down to public appearances. This is the time and the place for anybody in the public who would like to address the City Commission on something not on the agenda tonight. Seeing no movement, we will move on to the consent agenda. There are 2 items tonight. The first one is consideration of Memorandum 22-34, recommending approval of the applications from Rock and Rumble for a transient merchant license and a special events dance license for July 23rd, 2022. And the second one is consideration of Memorandum 22-35, recommending approval for the applications from RibFest for a transient merchant license for June 11th and a special events dance license for June 11th, 2022. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Anybody in the public? Seeing no movement, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And anybody abstaining? All right, on to old business. Number 1 is consideration of Memorandum 22-29 regarding a request for a special events on-sale liquor license for March 4th, 2022 from Stripes, Inc., doing business as Mojo's 3rd Street Pizza. Jeff Dayhoff, owner, at 106 East 3rd Street, for the NFAA located at 800 Archery Lane. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Al, roll call.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 2, under old business, is consideration of Memorandum 22-30 regarding the request for a special event on-sale liquor license for June 11th, 2022 from Rock and Rumble, Inc., doing business as Yankton Ribfest. Michael Sarda, president. This is located at the block of 3rd Street between Cedar Street and Walnut Street, plus a half block west on 3rd Street to the alley, half of Walnut Street to alley, and half block north-south on Walnut and 3rd Street here in Yankton. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 3 under new business is consideration of Memorandum 22-31 regarding the request for a special events on-sale liquor license for July 23rd, 2022 from Rock and Rumble, Inc., Mike Sarda, president, doing business as Rock and Rumble, 3rd Street from Douglas to half block east on Capitol, plus intersecting Capitol Street, a quarter block north to a half block south. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 4, under old business, is consideration of Memorandum 22-32 regarding the request for a special events malt beverage on-sale retailer's license for one day, March 17, 2022, from the Center, Chris Thury as executive director, and that is located at 900 Whiting Drive. What is your pleasure? So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 5 under old business is a second reading and a public hearing regarding the consumption ordinance. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Amy and Ross, is there anything, I see Ross already has his mic on, you want to walk us through? I know this is more of some changes in the ordinance as well as us looking at approving city staff on signing off on this.
Sure. Okay, so the ordinance that you see before you is the first part. Basically, one of our major goals was to simplify the process of allowing people to have organized events that would allow for public consumption. But this was also an opportunity for us to update our alcohol ordinances to jive with state law. It's been about 12 years since we updated our ordinances, and I think the last time we updated, there wasn't a comprehensive comparison with state law. Al Vierick, I'm sure, would agree that our alcohol statutes in the state are a strange patchwork quilt, and they don't always jive beautifully together, and they're regularly evolving. So it was time that we clean up our consumption ordinances to make sure everything meshed. But having done that, we were also able to use the opportunity to give the city manager authority to grant special permits to consume alcohol within the confines of state law. So that was the goal. There's essentially 4 steps or 4 ways to understand how this works. So we're going to start with the general rule. There's no drinking in public. That's the general rule. Jives with state law. However, we're creating an ordinance here, and it was phrased as an exception. It was worded really goofy, but now there's a straight ordinance that says, in the city of Yankton, it is lawful to drink beer, wine, and cider in public parks. That's an exception to the general rule, okay? The city manager can grant authority for consumption of any alcoholic beverages in any public place, including parks, and that consumption can include distilled spirits by permit. It just requires that the city manager be, a request must be presented to the city manager 72 hours in advance. Just, you can think, block parties, you can think downtown if there's an event that people will be maybe bouncing from, watering hole to watering hole. The city manager can give authority to do that. It just has to be in the confines of a 24-hour period, so you can have multiple permits for multiple days, but a permit can't last more than 24 hours, and consumption is limited to the hours in which alcohol can be purchased at a licensed establishment. And then the 4th point I want everybody to understand is this doesn't have any impact on the sale of alcohol. Any sale still requires an alcohol license, which could include a special event license, which would allow the sale of alcohol outside a licensed facility. But this is only consumption. So that's my 3-minute summary. Any questions?
Ross, I just wanted to add to the commission that in making those considerations, what will happen in practice is somebody will likely call Brittany LaCroix, our special events coordinator, and make these types of requests. They'll fill out, a form, and then when it's received by me, I will, visit with public safety with chief about the nature and manner of it, and if it's appropriate or not. We have said no before, but mostly our no's have been because they don't have time to go through this commission process. So a lot of our I was gonna say drinking months, but our warm weather months fall on 5-week type months. So we don't always have meetings to give you the ability, same with the special parking you're gonna talk about next. There's not always time, if things aren't planned out far into the future, to give them the authority. So this would allow somebody, if they wanted to have, for example, a block get together, and they planned it, just the week before, we could allow that if appropriate, and rely heavily on Chief and his staff to help make those decisions.
So procedurally, this would, in effect, remove what we just did on items 1, 2, and 3 going into the future? It would give you, as the city manager's office.
Not for the sale. So the sale.
No, sorry, for the consumption.
We can't do anything about when somebody has a special event. They have to have a special event permit. That's still required by the state, that you go through the 2-hearing process, set the public hearing, hold a public hearing. Where this would be handy is, for example, if I think in the past there's been special events, no parking for let's say, a third-on-third event, and they want to have a public consumption, instead of having 2 meetings there, that's something that we can inform you of and administratively approve. Now, there is the option, if the applicant doesn't like the decision that's made by the city manager, they can appeal it to the commission. Now, they would need to have a commission date to appeal it to, but that would be before their event, but they can make that appeal.
Other commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber. Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Number 6 under old business is a second reading and a public hearing regarding the special event no parking ordinance. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ross, this is not changing really any language per se in the ordinance, but more so just designating the city's manager or a designee, correct?
More or less, yeah. So originally, we've operated under 2 processes, depending upon how much time people have before a request is made to close or to create no parking areas. There was a fast process that allowed for the city manager to give authority, and you'd get signs for no parking. And then there was the enforceable process, which involved bringing your request before the commission. So the process would be, if you don't have enough time to get your request in for the commission to consider, the city manager can authorize you to put out some no parking signs. But the understanding was that if people were to violate those no parking areas, you weren't going to get the enforcement assistance of the Yankton Police Department. And that really didn't make a lot of sense to have 2 procedures and processes, and I can't remember in modern memory where we have ever denied a request at the commission level. So it just made sense that in a situation where someone would come before the city asking to hold a block party, for instance, just like we had under the consumption ordinance that you guys have just approved, it made sense that authority to grant permission for an enforceable no parking zone could be bestowed upon the city manager, again, with the ability to appeal a denial to this commission. So we're just basically merging everything into one process, and staff can approve it if it meets the requirements.
Thank you for clarifying that, Ross. Any other commission discussion, questions?
So Ross, I know you said that, obviously, city commission has rarely turned any of these requests down. The time frame, though, that's being laid out here, so a person or entity make the request at least 14 days prior to the event. Let's say that then staff decides, nope, can't do it. So then they have the option to appeal. They would basically have to get that appeal in pretty quick, within that next week.
Right.
Because it also then has to coincide with the city commission meeting within the upcoming 2 weeks, and that could be up in the air.
The rule really favors the guy who plans ahead. The reality is we're trying to find the balance between something that is adaptive and very sort of feeling last minute, as these deals tend to come together, but still providing an avenue if they're turned down. They just have to make sure they're planning far enough ahead if they really want a realistic right of appeal. I don't know how to do, if a person puts in their request and they're denied and they're inside the time frame to be able to get before the commission, they're kind of out of luck unless they postpone their event.
So we are, I'm just throwing this out there because you just never know. So then it would have to be considered at the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of City Commissioners. So then we're also taking ourselves out of the process of, let's say, staff says no, a majority of city commissioners or the mayor or 2 city commissioners want to have a special meeting to make this happen for the person who wants to have the special events parking happen.
If the commission wishes, I can certainly put that language in, but I worry about, I don't want the public to think they can mess with your schedules that easily. If you want me to put that in here, I'm happy to.
I'm just basing it off of the 14 days,
Yeah.
prior. I mean, could we also push that out further?
We can, but I think that that's part of the reason we wanted to make this more adaptable, because it required, we didn't have the ability to give people enforcement rights unless they got it before the commission, and we'd be getting the request too late, too soon relative to the date of the event for our process to allow the city manager to give enforcement authority behind the signs. So, essentially what would happen is they'd present their application a very short period of time ahead of the event, and there's no way we could get the request before the commission, but staff would look at it and say, yeah, I mean, this is a great event. It doesn't look like you're going to upset anybody. Here's a bunch of signs. Sorry, we can't give you more authority if people don't follow that. We liked how adaptable that was. It was the fact that, I mean, coming to the commission just required a lot of prior planning that in many cases just, they didn't show up with that level of prior planning. So I think ultimately, if a person is denied, it may be that the denial is simply due to the date and reasons associated with the date, and a reschedule of it might allow it to be approved, or a reschedule then allows an appeal. But it's just the reality of how soon they ask. But having said that, Commissioner Maibaum, I'm happy to adjust the ordinance in any way the commission directs. But I would want to remind all of you that if we make a change that's more than just a typographical or a modest adjustment in the number of days or something to that effect, we may be setting ourselves up for a second reading, which is fine with me, but it'll just appear on the agenda again.
Honestly, I just can't imagine if somebody does get denied, then they're probably not going to come to the city commission. They're not even going to go through the appeal process, because what essentially is going to happen is they're going to probably have to do several other logistical twists and turns to even see if their event can happen to begin with. So, I mean, the language is there, but I don't know if it's worthwhile.
Valid criticism.
And if there's we're not taking into account that if someone decides not to sign, or the business doesn't approve of the closure, does that give them enough time for if it's approved, for some type of appeal on their part as well? The business itself?
So the way it's set up now, there isn't, in the language you have before you, there isn't a right for the people who don't want it to be heard, but that, I actually had a draft of this that had that included, and in our office internally, we decided that almost is more important, that you have a much further lead time getting your application in, because if you're trying to stop it and it's been approved, you need to get to your, I mean, there's no way to have your appeal if you're too late. So ultimately, we axed that, but there is a requirement that all the affected property owners be notified, and the applicant has to affirm or swear that they were notified in advance. That's a process that we already utilize in our special events application, which is where some of these ideas came from. We tried to make an ordinance that sort of matched much of what we're already doing. Does that make sense?
I would just,
but yeah, it's a valid counterpoint.
I would just add that, the applicant always indicates that they have notified the affected property owners, and at times before it comes to the commission, I will get a call from an affected property owner saying, this event organizer came to me with this, they did notify them this, I'm not in favor of it because, and typically it's because I'm open Saturday morning and I'm at a business where people can't just carry things out, I'm at a business where, there's a large amount of product, or I need access because I get my delivery. And what we've done in those instances is worked out with the event organizer to cone off a space or two that those people can access, and just so they know, hey, business X, is going to be utilizing, is going to need access from this time to this time, and then they're okay with it. But, and there are a couple people that don't want anything that disrupts parking anytime, anywhere, anyhow, no how, no way. But, we look at those things as to what's sort of the common good. And if they're notified and discussed, we also tell those event organizers, make sure the business owners downtown, because it largely happens downtown, understand where the public lots are so they can direct customers.
Any other commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to new business. Number 1 is consideration of memorandum 22-38, recommending approval of an easement for a BY water service valve, including associated engineering and administrative documents. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Brunick.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 2 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-37 regarding the purchase of e-ticket software and equipment for the police department. This request is for $2,349.61 for e-printers and $20,273.20 for the e-ticketing system, for a total of $22,622.81. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I know City Manager Leone kind of walked through this when she did her work session plan. I don't know if there's anything you want to add here, or Chief Foote?
I guess I personally am a little curious as what this means for the individual in the car that may be getting a ticket. And I've been asked to ask you, Chief, if there are e-warnings or just e-tickets, because I like the e-warning style better than the e-ticket style.
So this does have the potential to not only be able to do the e-ticket, but also do e-warnings. So currently we have warning ticket books printed, so this has a potential savings on that as well. So I did look at the numbers for tickets. It's about 43 cents a ticket that we use right now. And because this isn't a true e-ticket yet, we still have to print 2 copies. It's 10 cents a copy is what it's going to cost us, so 20 cents. So we save about 23 cents per ticket that we write.
And Chief, in the motion, it talks about 2 e-printers and the exact cars they're going to be placed in. How does that work with only 2 cars with e-printers?
I've been preparing for this for the last couple of years. So every time you do an install, there's a lot of equipment that goes in there, a lot of wiring, and it's a lot easier to do it as you install the new equipment. So the wiring and printers have been put into most of the cars. There's just 2 left.
I was just thinking maybe we had to roll the dice and those were the only 2 on duty or something. Okay. And basically, so this, just out of curiosity again, so does it eliminate or cut down on the time that people are on the side of the road, our officers, people in those vehicles? So in an essence would provide a little bit more safety for those involved as well? Does it cut down on that time?
Yeah, so there's no more handwriting stuff. You can actually scan the driver's license that someone would have, and that information is inputted right into the e-citation already. It's also, the registration is the same way. Those are a little more difficult because of the glossy paper that they have. The barcode on there sometimes doesn't scan right. So, but that potential for that to go in there as well works that way also. The one thing that this is missing right now is that the e-signature part. If it was a true e-signature, it could just be emailed to the defendant or the clerk of courts. Currently, we're going to have to print 2 copies, so. And that's printed on a thermal, with a thermal printer, so there's no ink. It's actually burned into the paper, so.
There's a mention in here of a recurring $2,025 fee for maintenance each year. So we've got then, I guess, 2 licenses, 2 printers, I should say software licenses, I suppose. But as we add more to the new vehicles that become part of the fleet, is that maintenance cost going to continue to go up year over year then?
So it's actually for 10 licenses that the maintenance fee is for 10 licenses. So there is a recurring fee which is at $2,000. They estimate that you can go up by 5% every year on that reoccurring fee. They give that dollar amount, and it's with the possibility that it might go up 5%. So, but this is the current software that we're already using for our report writing. So it's integrated into that, and we do pay a yearly maintenance fee on that as well.
If the commission approves this tonight, how soon would we be seeing e-warnings and e-tickets in our community?
Well, like I said, we have most of the printers already. Once we sign the contract with the software company, it's kind of up to them on the timeline of how fast they actually flip the switch on. That's what I imagine they do, is just turn a switch on and all of a sudden it works, but it's probably not that easy. So hopefully by summer, or by the time we're starting to onboard some new officers, we can just train them right into e-tickets, so we'll have some people that know how to do it right away.
It sounds very exciting. I might try to get a ticket.
And this doesn't allow for any.
I would suggest you drive down the airport road.
This doesn't allow for any like e-payment of that e-ticket, right? There's no Venmo or PayPal.
No, we don't take payment on our tickets. You actually can pay the clerk of courts online, so.
So I'd imagine the big thing here is the clerical and the help that it provides from not having to decipher people's handwriting.
Yeah, the handwriting, the time, it's also makes sure it takes that human error element out of it. Sometimes the citations can get cited wrong. Well, this way it's pulling it right out of the system for us. So.
I know the officers are excited about this. It's a tool to help them do their job, of course. And, think of an evening like we had last week, standing outside or even walking back and forth between the car, writing tickets and things like of that nature. But two, as I look at our younger employees in all our departments, they're more comfortable with with technology than they are with pen and paper. It's amazing. I'm sure you see that, Commissioner Minor, but I'm shocked about they can do more on the phone than I can get done, So that is too for their ease and comfort and speed, and they've been requesting this. In fact, I think initially officers were the ones that brought the idea forward.
Thank you.
Any other commission comments, questions? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Good luck with that, Chief Foot. And just let Commissioner Minor know when you get that set up so she can. All right. Number 3 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-39 regarding an agreement for professional services with KLJ for the taxiway rehab project. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this agenda item?
Well, I think it'd be a good opportunity for Adam Haberman to talk about this particular agenda item, especially since he's more or less taken over the reins out at the airport.
Thank you. So the current airport layout plan has future development north of where the existing hangar locations are on the airport property. And in that plan, that future plan, there's more hangars to the north. So the 2022 budget depicted a project to build taxiway and access road infrastructure to that future hangar location. With KLJ's been working on the design for that project. It's about estimated to be a $1.1 million project. After KLJ met with the DOT recently, the South Dakota Department of Transportation aeronautical side, they indicated that the state appropriations funding for the shortfalls on the project, I hope I'm saying that right, is likely not going to be there for this high dollar amount of a project, and they advised to look at maybe doing a less costly project. So we do have in a future year a taxi lane A rehabilitation project, which is less costly. They advised maybe move forward with the design and that rehab project this year, and the funding shortfall may be available for that project to take place this year, and we would do the prior 2022 project hopefully next year. So that's what this agreement is for KLJ to begin designing that rehab project take place later this year.
Is there strong demand for the new hangars right now, or is it going to push off some potential building? Delay it more? The project wouldn't be completed instantly anyway, but is it a growing facility out there, or is it just?
Yeah, there's interest in hangar development out there, yes. Yep. Hopefully the year doesn't affect too much of that. And there is space in the barrel hangar, the existing barrel hangars Dave mentioned.
All right. Thank you, Adam. Any other questions? All right. Anybody in the public? Al, roll call.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye. Motion carries. There is no other business in front of the commission tonight, so I would ask for a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss contractual litigation and personnel matters under SDCL 1-25-2.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And anybody abstaining? All right. We are adjourned into executive session.